Hello, welcome where we are in the world. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Welcome to Ignite Your Soul, Merging Two Worlds. Today is just me. I'm not saying a channel message might not come through or whatnot, but um, I've been really hermiting and, kind of really taking a deep dive within myself to see, um, well, things are happening in my life right now that I personally understand why, and I'm kind of making this video for other people to understand why. Just kind of a change in perspective or perception shift. So usually when we have tower moments in our life, and when I look back on my life at how many tower moments I had no idea that it was happening for me. I always complained and was like, oh, why is this gotta happen? What is this happening for? You know, sorry, my pop-ups are um so yeah, I made a post the other day just to say I love you all and I think about you and the stuff that you go through on a daily basis. And by no means am I saying I'm perfect, but I have the tools to um, get through the challenges in my life. And I know why they're there. My soul has put them there for me to grow and expand exponentially speaking. And okay, there goes the crown chakra. Um, so yeah, I just kind of look back at my life, and if I keep looking back at my life, and I'll tell you why I do it, is because things are changing. Things that you would actually think was a loss, um, your human perspective, right? Oh, it's a loss. I'll never get that back, or whatever you might say to that thing or that person or that place. Um, Currently, that is what's shifting for me. And this is due to um, caring about how I feel and wanting more for myself and for my kids. And they are the biggest challenge and the biggest blessing at the same time, and family as well. And I know a lot of people look at their family as toxic, and yes, there is some. And I also have toxic family members. And when I say toxic, it is literally just a learned behavior or a reaction uh, that others choose. And I've noticed that changing as well with my family and my children. Not saying they're not going through stuff. Of course, they're going through stuff. It is the only way we can grow and expand and move on to our highest timeline of um, experiencing that next step or that next project or that next person, or that next place, right? Or maybe you're building a business and it's been a long journey and it's felt like this huge ass burden that, you know, um, it happened in stages for myself, and I didn't understand that. But it didn't matter. I felt good about doing it, and it felt like I was able to give something back to others that, you know, needed it or whatever. So when I look back when I was a kid, and I look at my kids and I look at my grandkids, and then I see my parents, like we all were this child, this innocent child that just wanted to play and have fun and test the waters, so to speak. And I remember doing that. I remember, you know, when we had this big ass flood on my street, that I would go put my skirt on, not a skirt, but a skirt, it's both. And I would go and have fun and play and swim in the sewer water or whatever it was. But whatever, rainwater. You know, and the only time that I can really remember most of my childhood is it was very disruptive and toxic, and it became a learned behavior of my own. I'm not saying, um yeah, I am. I am saying it. I'm saying that the habitual ways of thinking, the habitual ways of reacting and responding when you're communicating with someone can be so hurtful. And I learned that if I learned it at that small age, right? I soaked it up. It was a sponge, it just soaked up, and that's how I, you know, did it with my kids. And now I see my kids doing it with their kids, and so on and so forth. But it's like this loop and this repeated freaking pattern of being. So I took it upon myself and I said, you know what? I'm going to be a lonely person when I die. When I leave the physical world, I'm going to be so lonely because I don't know how to treat people. I don't know how to um, behave in a conflict. I just energy goes where it flows, right? Somebody pisses you off, um, but there's other ways. I learned that there's other ways. Like right now, I love to hear my grandkids say that my mind told me to do this, and it was actually a very empowering thought that was going on with him, and that they're so interested in what I do. And there's a reason for that, because I'm a psychic medium, and it does run in my ancestry and my lineage, not just this life, but many lifetimes, if you believe in lifetimes and reincarnation. I don't have a choice. I've seen my lifetimes. I've seen even relationships that I was in this life, and how my guides and my spirit team has shown me that the most important thing to take away from those dreams or visions I was having in my past lives was to play it out differently. And yeah, some did, some didn't. And like right now, I'm actually experiencing a past life relationship with a very high level soulmate. And I am a twin flame. So on this twin flame journey, you, the twin flame, if you're the feminine, you're going to go through so much karmic healing and emotional trauma. There could be mental trauma there could be physical trauma, experienced. And I'm not just talking about past lives, I'm talking about you're going through it right now. And if you are going through it right now, it's not always a contract, but it's always there to definitely teach you about yourself. Okay. It's teaching you how to think for yourself, how to decide to get up and you had enough, you can't take this abuse anymore, or um, whatever that is. Okay. That's just a few, I've been really in my emotional body of energy, let's just say, and it's my strongest, as a Cancer water sign. empath. And so, yeah, I was like, okay, so if I keep looking backwards and having regrets and resentments and things not panning out the way we assumed they would, right? It was really just an assumption because nothing's meant to last forever. It's always about growth, and the soul knows what you need for your growth. In other words, so this has been my journey, and I didn't realize, I've realized that for years now, but when I was a kid, I asked the universe, well, God at the time, I'm like, God, who was God, Jesus Christ, and the Holy Spirit. Well, I became a seeker of knowledge, right? Of hidden information. It's been, what do you call it? The uh, unforbidden knowledge. And that's who I am now. I'm a seeker. I love to learn new things. I love to create. I love to create my own happiness, something I never knew even existed. Um, but back to the tower moments, it's really interesting that when we have tower moments, we always complain about the shit, and it's really our universe's expression of love. It's like, if you're not going to change this, I'm going to change this. And you are the I am. You are an extension of what created you. Okay, yes, we have this physical body, but we can't just only be this physical body. We're not the physical body, is what I'm saying. I learned on my own journey and healing my mind and, tearing that shit apart and going, what belongs here and what don't belong here, what works and what don't work, right? Especially when it comes to parenting. So basically, I restructured my own mind and way of thinking, that a relationship needed to look like a certain way. It didn't have to look like anything. It just needed to be what it was. I needed to allow a person to be who they were without trying to change them, to control them, to manipulate them. And believe me, I've done it all. I've done all that, and it did backfire. It backfired. Okay. And then I was manipulated. So I learned that the first important thing in anybody's life, collective, you, like for myself, was to focus on the energy. What energy of thought are we vibrating in the past? Because if we're not done vibrating in the past, then it's going to show up for you. And I've experienced this. It does show up, and it can be so ugly, and it can be so good. Okay. Depending on your intention and your energy and the focus behind it. Like right now, I'm experiencing ascension symptoms in the crown chakra, continuously ascending higher and higher mindsets, different timelines. 1414, I just seen. So, where are you right now, collective, focused in the past that, you choose to hold on to? And it's so painful. You have regrets, you have resentments, you have so much feeling of betrayal in your heart. This is where we need to focus. We need to focus on everything that was created in that moment where you experience betrayal or heartache or abandonment. You know, it can go many different directions. Okay. So, yeah, this is just me today, remembering how far I've came, where I've came from, and I'm choosing not to ever go back there again. I'm choosing that. I'm choosing that because I care about how I feel. I care that um, I am very aware that I am a conscious and deliberate creator. Although I have not always been, I've always created and brought up the past experiences in this wounded place that really needed attention. Okay, so any pain that came up in my body, I paid attention to it. Like, oh my God, you know, is this a contract or is this just somebody else's stuff that I'm taking on and I'm unaware of? You know, there's so many different ways of working with energy and becoming really mindful and aware of, excuse me, not just how you think, but how you feel. Okay, how you feel. And your body tells you, it warns you, it says back off, right? The power center, the heart. You'll feel deceit. And there is a specific way to communicate to your physical body, your spirit, your soul, you know, your higher self, all that. There is a way that you can become more aware and more consciously creating your life. Okay. Not saying it's going to be 100%, you know, no problems. Because if there's no mud, there's no growth. Okay. That's where it's at. But through this path, it teaches you to really become a silent observer. And you want to be silent and observe your environment that you live in, the people that surround you, your friends, you know, just watch the actions. Their actions will say everything. Everything. It's not, and even what they're talking about, you know, it's coming from a wounded place. Now, do I want to choose to be with that? Or do I want to choose my new timeline, my highest timeline, right? So, me, I'm pretty grounded for the most part right now. We just went through this storm, it's not over yet. Did a lot of shoveling. Not me, but my partner. Um, it's been interesting. And so, yeah, things that I thought before in my life, before I was choosing better for myself, that or to be able to have the tricks, the tools to get out of challenges in my own life, that, you know, there's only one key, and that is God. God is the only key, because every time I go to someone else, it's like, no, I can't help you. But when I go to God and I let go of expectations, it's already done. It's already done. The new house, the new car, the new boyfriend, the new whatever it is for you. Okay. There is no source outside of you that you are ever going to need. Ever. Okay. Um, so, yeah, who am I? I'm a master intuitive psychic medium energy healer. And I'm really I'm taking the time out to reflect and get through challenges that are, it's part of the cleanup. It's part of ending karmic cycles, right? And patterns and habits and, you know, old beliefs that just don't work, right? They don't work. There's money beliefs. There's beliefs around love. There's beliefs about religion and spirituality being so far apart when they're the same thing. And there's beliefs about having to have control over somebody else when you have absolutely no freaking control over someone else. But if you're in a partnership and you're creating a situationship instead of it being a contract. It can still be a contract that you two came together to learn, grow, and expand. You either part your ways or you get closer together. Okay. So really take a look at your life right now. Sit in the emotional body of energy, consciously and deliberately choosing to sit in that pain, the heartache, the betrayal. And the biggest key, 333 right now, the biggest key and the only key, like I said, is God. You being the extension of source, creator energy, should be real easy and natural for you to forgive someone else who has hurt you or tried to harm your family or your loved ones, but not the behavior. Okay, we're not forgiving the behavior. When we go against that love, that unconditional love and forgiveness, and we take it in our own hands to harm another or to be someone we're really not, okay? It might have been a part of your experience, but there is another way, and that is to give it over to the source, God, and say, I don't need to have revenge. I feel complete within myself. I've worked on the layers and layers of forgiveness on a different, a divine perspective. And that's what it takes, collective. It takes a divine perspective. And for eons and eons of lifetimes, it's only been the human perspective. And we need more spirit. We need more unconditional love and forgiveness and more light on this planet if we're ever going to succeed and stop dimming our light to fit in when we know we're different and we're unique and we're challenged for a reason. We're challenged for a reason. I learned to embrace that challenge with all my power and my faith and trust in something I cannot see. I can damn well feel it. I can feel it. I can feel God's presence. And you probably can see it. You can probably see it, the way the world is shifting and changing because we're embracing this fear and darkness that is always going to be there, but we could work with it. We can work with it. We can bring it up into conscious reality and say, now, do I really want to choose that way again? Because if I choose that way again, I'm going to go that way again. So doing the same thing and getting the same result over and over and over. So it was my job to look at myself. I looked at myself for years, collective. And that's why I chose the career that I chose to be a speaker, a teacher, an author. I chose to be a master of my own reality. And because the old reality was shit. It was shit. I was settling for mediocre life, mediocre relationships, mediocre for my kids, mediocre for everything. You are given as soon as you ask. So you can also get what you don't want. And that would be the tower moment. You have to understand that just because these 3 cups over here been spilled over, there's still 2 cups standing over here that is completely full and waiting for you to say, oh my God, I have more than enough. I am enough. I am worthy. I am worthy to sit here and boss this, right? I'm my own boss. Did I ever see that in the past? No. I just went to psychics and mediums, and I was a seeker of something that I already knew I was going to be, because that's what I want to be. Since I was a kid, I wanted people to notice my gifts, my abilities, my talents. Now I give a shit less. I proved it to myself. So I don't have to seek validation outside myself. So you could be someone that's coming up that you be going through these challenges because you're constantly seeking the validation in your relationship. Like maybe you want to be a cook or a chef, and there's always someone that says this. I always hear this is like, man, I cook it, but I don't like my own cooking. What? Everybody else don't have a problem with it. They're all loving it. You don't even got to ask. And they're saying, damn, this is some good shit. I ain't never ate this in my life. And this, I mean, I might have had it once and this is different and whatever the conversation is, whatever it is, don't seek validation outside yourself anymore. It's just you draining you. It's like people want to talk about energy vampires and all that, but you are giving your power away by looking outside of you, because everything's already inside you. It's always been. Your life has mastered that for you. So yeah, I chose the career to be able to change people's lives by changing my own first. I would never bring something out without the knowledge base from being the seeker of the knowledge and making it work in my own life and knowing it works in my own life. And just because it works in my life, yours is going to work differently. It's going to work because your inner being, your higher self, God, is focused where you're focused. Right? But the problem is everybody's focused on the problem. They don't already see or have the solution because they're not listening. They're not listening to their body. They're not trusting their intuition. They're not asking the right questions. Who am I? Ask that. Who am I? Why do I choose these specific habits or patterns, ways of thinking, believing, reacting, feeling? Why do I feel powerless right now? Where's my power going? Where's all my focused energy going? Who is it going to? When it should be right here. Self-love, self-care. We need to put ourselves first. We have to have our own cup of love filled before we can even think of giving love to someone else outside of us. So yeah, I thought that was just going to be a me thing, but I guess it was a little channeled as well. And just breathe and let it out. Do this first thing in the morning, right when you go to bed. I don't have my list out here, but from the top of my own mind and how it worked for me was to be able to quiet my mind. You cannot quiet your mind. You could say, I'm going to get out ahead of it. So I'm going to be mindful of that next thought or meeting with that next person or going to that next place. Or, you really got, that's what mindfulness is to me. getting out ahead of it. Because you know by the way you're feeling what your next move is going to be, right? Are you going to respond from that emotional trauma wound? Or are you going to respond from that more mature and healed you? That's the key. Because source is focused where you're focused. If you ask, it is given. You just have to line up with it. And it's the energy world. The only way to line up with it is in the energy world. So there's blockages in our energy, which ain't always blocked completely. They're either underactive or overactive, right? Because as I was starting to build my business, I got to be this, what's the word, spirit? Really fierce independence, needy. I needed that. It felt so needy. It was draining me. It was making me sick. It was making me overwhelmed. And that's because it was go, 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 right? It was like, now you get to get all the hard shit out of the way of building the business. Now you just get to enjoy it. You get to sit back and watch everybody show up and, change lives. And I love tarot. I love being a medium. I love channeling spirit on so many different levels. It's wonderful. Maybe you're somebody who wants to do that. Just kind of think back. And we're not thinking back to remember the wounds, right? We're remembering when we were innocent and we had dreams and desires. Even as a kid, we were focused somewhere. What was that? Because once life happens, then you got all these rules and society piled up on top of your mind and telling you to think this way when you really want to go this way. You can't think for yourself anymore. So where have you not been being able to think for yourself, being able to create your own happiness? Because it is a creation. And it takes time, physical time, and through the spiritual essence, that happiness just shows up. You probably hear my dog scratching at the door. Where are you holding back your true authenticity? Maybe you have something to say and you have never been able to say it. Get it out. Get it out. That is so healing. First and foremost, that is so healing. You have to work through the emotions and the emotional body and get it out. Get it out. Allow it time, layers of forgiveness. Do this work by yourself. Nobody else can do it for you. Just a minute. Dog's not happy. So yeah, with that being said, 333 again, mind, body, spirit. Okay. And it's also the mental, emotional, the physical body, the soul guiding you, working with the elements. There's so many different ways. Journaling, meditation, But if you think you're ever going to just quiet your mind, well, you can. You got to connect to the breath. Your breath, okay, is being able to silence the momentum that it already has created. Take a freaking nap, lay down with that intention. I'm silencing this momentum. I'm not going to think about that. Ain't going to work because you're going to go to bed thinking about it. You're going to wake up thinking about it. You're going to have the same experience. Nothing's going to change. Right? Anything else? I'm going to go ahead and pull a couple cards. Okay. Let's see. What cards? Oh, yeah. Wow. One card. Healing. Stone's hope. Healing's happening. You're opening up right here to let new opportunities, possibilities, new ways of feeling happiness. This card is so beautiful. Some of you, here we go. 19, the sun. Okay. So 1 and a 9 is a 10. So it's definitely new beginnings are happening. So Spirit saying, don't lose hope, right? Don't lose hope. Everything's being released into the golden sun, the solar logos here. Just it's saying release it. If you haven't, release it. Please release it. It's just old stuff. It's old stuff that don't serve and can't keep getting thinking you're going to change anything naturally, effortlessly, and easily by doing it the same way. Continuing to be with that same person that you know is no longer serving you, or there's no more growth to be had, right? It could be completely toxic. And believe me, this can be a parent. This can be a parent. This can be your child. But at the end of the day, collective, stay optimistic, because we're not judging the moon and the sun. They both have their own shine, right? So even with that darkness that we embrace and bring up into the sunlight, say, hey, I can do this differently now. I can choose to speak to my person with a more mature way of being, right? You can put on a new hat and be like, whoa, your person not even expect that, right? So that's what the twin flame journey has offered me and all the karmic soulmates and contracts that were there for me to recognize past lives and redos. Okay. So you're not just here, your higher self's here, your lower self's here, and we want to bring them together. We want to bring them both together and embrace that with acceptance and forgiveness. For anyone that's hurt us or we have hurt, because we hurt people. You know, not knowing that was my strongest power and gift, was the knowing that I was always a channel. And here I thought I was judging someone else when it was just something that Source wanted me to know. Okay, so this is about this person, this is about this person. And that became my training, like the first stage of knowing, and then being able to open up to a new perspective and perception, and then being able to clear up the old way of communicating, right? Of fear, out of fear, right? So feeling out of fear, thinking out of fear, recreating fear everywhere in your life, right? My life, your life. We're not separate, okay? We're not separate. You can choose your hat. You just need to be able to think for yourself. Because when I think back, not even when I think back into my past, it's like, wow, it's like none of this was in vain. I really can say none of it was in vain. It was all for my highest and greatest good, and on a collective level. Because if I wouldn't have awakened to who I am and asked these certain questions, then what the hell? Nothing would have changed. But I see change everywhere in the world. It is so beautiful. So that's why I choose not to focus on anything on the news that is fear, because I know that's not true. That's not where our divine creator is focused. That's the human experience. But you do have a choice, right? And about carrying other people's burdens, let me go there for a minute. lesson learned. So people always took me as naive, but I was really sympathetic. I really powerfully can feel other people's energies, right? And I didn't know that growing up. It took me 42 years to come into my own understanding and knowing that, oh my God, this isn't even mine. And I've been carrying it. But see, here's the contract in the situationship. When we're living with other people, we can't help but sympathize, right? If you're that way. But I learned quickly I needed to empathize and, kind of just be there and say, yeah, I get it. Offer a person a hug or some food or, just not take on their lessons, right? Because if they're going through something in the first place, I can obviously see now because I've been through it, right? And I can help. Or I go to the source and I channel that emotional body of energy like, okay, is this person, am I supposed to help this person? Then I will help this person. If it says, no, I'm not supposed to help this person, I got to stand back and I got to let that person fall. I got to let that person fall however many times it takes for that person to get back up and learn that lesson, right? So we can choose, like even with my kids, I had to learn this with my own children. Like, okay, shit, it's too late. They're already doing what I did. I can't change that. But then I think about it and Source would say, okay, but it was just how did he say it? It was just a stage, okay, just a stage and a process that I took on or they took on, and it will pass. Just say it will pass. And if it don't, then it don't. There was something more there, even more. Like even I have to say this, collective, as a medium and working with spirit and knowing more about death and contracts and why some people go before we do. It's because they couldn't help us here any longer. They could help us more over there, that kind of thing. I mean, that alone is powerful. That is so powerful, right? And I had to learn that, man, I've been mourning all my loved ones. And in the mourning kept me separated because I was still looking for him here. I was still looking for him here. I was still reminiscing about the old times and being with this person and that person when we were always connected. We were connected here and we were connected as they left. But it was so hard. It was very much a challenge being a medium and saying, I don't know if I'm even ready for that. After what we left here, I felt broken and twisted and toxic and whatnot. But I learned that too, being a medium. I got to do so much healing in layers of forgiveness with relationships and my loved ones. They haven't left. I love it. They haven't left. They're so much more alive than I am right now in this physical vehicle. And I can get jelly. I'll tell you. But the real deal is nothing's meant to last forever. And I no longer look at it as a loss. Temporary, right? The temporary stage of forgiveness and separation, like the mourning process. Yes, everybody, I go through that. Absolutely. But it happens quickly because the quicker I allow that to happen, the closer I become again. And yeah. So that's the fun of mediumship. I love it. And, for a lot of years, I mourned the death of my dad. And I have my mom here. And, nothing lasts forever. So it's like, okay, um, when you don't have any parents here to have your back, like to help you physically with money or, just to talk to, because you can sit in front of that person and you trust that person, to have a conversation or just to have a nice release. I learned to do that with my kids now, not wait until I'm gone and not here in the physical. That was really important. Um, but I feel like I'm kind of getting on a tangent now. So we're in 45 minutes. I love showing up today. I just felt um, like some of you collective, you need this. You need to hear this, that your loved ones are still with you. It's just a different stage in transformation. And that's what I love to help with, personal transformation. Um, and you'll know when you're ready because you are sick and tired of all the tower moments. You just can't do it anymore. The relationships, you keep attracting the same relationships. They keep ending the same way. There's so much guilt. There's so much shame. There's blame. There's trauma. Um, you know, just abuse. Could be emotionally neglected. And you're a person that is a giver and you're just constantly being drained and you're not understanding it, that you're supposed to receive love as well. Got to go both ways. So remember, I'm going to end it here. Remember to fill your own damn cup first and protect your energy at all costs. Any exchange, when it's toxic. Okay. Don't exchange that energy. Say, nope, not for me. Walk the other way. Maybe next time. um, but no judgment. Don't judge the situation. Just learn and grow from it. And yeah. So I'm going to go now. I love you all. Bye for now. I got to let my dog in. Oh, remember to like, share, and subscribe. Have a great night.